Watch this. The defensive secret world champions actually use isn't fancy footwork. It's a simple body shift most amateurs never think to try. Today, after watching some matches, let's talk about what technique matters most. Defense, it's incredibly important. Being able to hold up defensively truly makes a difference. Think about it. In high-level play, so many of the rallies come down to active attacking shots, but the player who can defend well stays in the point. I'm standing here in a neutral ready position, weight slightly forward on the balls of my feet, arms relaxed in front. Watch how my body stays compact and centered. The ability to absorb your opponent's power and stay in the rally, that's what separates levels.
能防一把真不一样。是不是？对，就是很多其实他们很多球都属于主动进攻的球。对。
After your opponent attacks, sometimes they can use your own aggression against you, they redirect your power back. That counterattack, that rebound off your shot, is devastating. It happens all the time. So today, let's talk about defense. When I watch amateur players compete, the ones who win consistently aren't necessarily the biggest hitters. They're the ones who are solid on defense. Their ability to absorb pressure and stay in the rally is what separates them.
长在防守上。
You don't always have to be the one attacking first. Sometimes you let your opponent make the mistake. They loop once, twice, three times, and if they can't finish the point, they lose confidence. Especially after they commit full power and you send it back to a good spot with speed, they genuinely cannot handle it. Now, what kind of ball scares you most? Is it the flat hit, the power loop, or the heavy spin loop? Most players fear all of them. That's exactly why we need to work on this.
还是怕高调，打到公屏上啊。好，海哥，我们给小快乐拉一下。
My partner loops full table, forehand side, backhand side, everywhere, and you can see the difficulty immediately. The power loop is scary, the spin loop is scary. On the backhand side, it's a bit easier to block because the stroke is compact. But the forehand, that's where people break down. Watch as my partner pushes one ball, then tries to defend the next. You can see the timing is off. The feet can't keep up. The ball arrives before the hand even starts moving. This is the reality for most amateur players. You're always one step behind. The ball is simply faster than your footwork can handle, and that's the core problem we need to solve.
好，来，你拳台搓一板，防一板。大家点点关注，点点赞，分享一下直播啊。
Next, why do I demonstrate this way? Why can't we defend against power loops? Watch, I loop a few to my partner's backhand. The backhand block is manageable, but the moment I switch to the forehand side, everything falls apart. Why? It's not that you can't physically reach the ball. The problem is anticipation. If I loop every ball to one spot, you can defend it fine. But the instant I redirect to your forehand, you have no awareness. The ball passes you before your hand even reacts. Watch again. I loop to the backhand, then suddenly wide forehand. See how the body freezes? That delay is the real issue. And then what happens? You loop one point, it comes back, so you load up even more power to the same spot. Still can't finish it, so you add more force. And eventually you make the error yourself. This mentality, I'll just hit harder to the same place, is fundamentally wrong. Can we please stop trying to blast through one location? Vary your placement. Even a simple 70-30 or 80-20 split in placement instantly breaks your opponent's defense apart. Now let me explain why you can't keep up with power loops. First, my partner stands in the middle and loops. Watch the defender's body, completely static, completely dead. If you're standing there like a statue when the ball is struck and it goes to your wide forehand, you have zero chance of reaching it. Your body has to be alive, ready to shift weight in either direction. Right now, this frozen stance is the number one problem. If you're locked in an attacking stance, feet wide, weight committed forward, and the ball suddenly comes to your forehand wide angle, you simply cannot reach it in time. Think about it. How often does your opponent actually rip two consecutive balls to the extreme forehand corner? Not very often. They need to generate power, so instinctively they aim for safer placements. so you cannot afford to stand in a wide attacking position during defense. Watch my partner loops one at normal speed, and from that wide stance, I can only watch it go by. It's beyond my reaction range. If you watch top players like Wang Manyu or Chen Meng on defense, notice what happens after they push or touch short. The moment their opponent attacks, their feet immediately adjust toward the middle of the table. The opponent rarely powers one to the extreme wide angle. Most balls land in this central zone. Watch my partner loops one here, and from this centered position I can block it comfortably. To the forehand side, I can defend like this without even moving my feet. But if I stand wide like I'm attacking, with this huge gap on my forehand side, my feet can never move faster than the ball. So the very first adjustment is your ready position. Start closer to center. Say you've just pushed a short ball after that push. Don't recover back to a wide stance like this. Instead, recover to a position slightly toward the middle of the table and prepare to defend. Now if the ball comes to your forehand, you can go straight into your backswing and block it directly. Watch what happens if you recover wide after your push. You're handing your opponent an open gap. So after your push, your next recovery goes to a slightly centered position. If the ball comes wide to your backhand, I use my body weight to lean and block, then readjust. For the forehand side, watch my partner loops one and even with a wide angle. Because my weight shifts and my arm extends together, I can still cover that entire line. As long as my center of gravity and arm move as one unit, I hold the defensive position. So the first point is clear. When your opponent is about to attack, especially off your serve or after you push, your center of gravity must shift toward the middle. Step your right foot onto the center line, bring your left foot in, and from that stance with your natural arm span, you can open up and guard every angle. That's principle 1. Now, principle 2. After you push, what do most amateur players do? You watch. You watch to see if your push went over the net. You watch whether they're going to loop it. And then, watch this, my partner follows the ball with their eyes as it travels, and only then starts to recover. Of course you're too late. You're reacting after the ball is already on its way. Look at the timing, push, watch, then move. Way too slow. Instead, what should happen? The moment I finish my push, I spring back out. I must position myself outside the table to defend, not inside the table. This is exactly why, after you serve short to the forehand and push, your next ball is so hard to defend. You're trying to cover both sides from inside the table. From outside, it's easy. Watch. After I push, I immediately pull back behind the end line. Now I'm defending from out here, and both corners become reachable. From outside the table, I can guard both sides comfortably. So let's lock in these two principles. First, your ready position after pushing must be slightly past center, but your center of gravity has to rotate enough to cover the forehand angle. If you're square on without that weight shift, your backhand side becomes impossible to defend. Second, every time you step in to touch the ball short, the very next action must be recovering back outside the table. Get behind the end line and prepare to defend from there. Otherwise, after your push, if the next ball has any quality at all, you simply cannot react in time. Then let's drill this. Watch serve, then recover. Serve, recover. Good. Serve, push, recover. See how quickly she gets back. Now we connect the whole sequence. Serve, push, recover, defend. Can she make it in time? Absolutely. So when you say you can't react fast enough, it's because you're skipping that recovery step, you're lingering at the table after your push. Now watch, she stands here in her defensive stance. I loop to her forehand angle, can she reach it? I loop to her backhand, can she cover it? She defends normally and look, her arm span reaches both sides. Open your stance a bit wider. Now don't move your feet at all. Just defend, see, she covers everything without a single step. Even world champions defend by reaching, not by shuffling their feet for every ball. So plant yourself. My partner here is about 5'4", not tall at all, and she can cover both corners without moving her feet. Shift your weight toward the forehand side, extend your arm out and reach. Use your hand to cover the distance. Stretch your arm span outward, there it is. The racket gets there just by extending, no footwork required. If you move your feet on every ball, you'll never be fast enough. You haven't had years of professional lateral step training, so don't try to slide step to every corner. For amateurs, the rule is simple. If you don't have to move your feet, don't. Save footwork for when it's absolutely necessary. Watch, she defends both sides just by reaching with her arm. Middle ball comes in, it's close to the body, easy. Wide ball, extend the arm span out. There. The whole table is covered. She's not tall, she doesn't have a huge wingspan, and yet every angle is defended. If your opponent power loops to a wide angle and you try to chase it with your feet, you'd need years of professional training to make that work consistently. You must use your body weight to defend, not just your arm. Watch this. My partner loops to my backhand and I block from a neutral position. Now I shift my center of gravity slightly toward the ball, lean into it. For a wider angle, my weight transfers further. For balls close to me on this side, I simply turn and block. For wider angles, I lean my body out toward the ball. And only when I still can't reach do I extend my arm further to cover the last bit of distance.